The game plays right here.
Are you ready for some football? Yeah!
Your sports leader, WOHS Shelby, WLON Lincoln, and WCSL Cherryville Gastonia.
Hello, this is Milton Baker inviting you to listen to NASCAR Racing right here on WCSL 1590 AM, 92.3 FM, and KTCBroadcasting.com.
Listen to Atlanta Braves baseball on WCSL 1590 AM, 92.3 FM in Cherryville and online at KTCBroadcasting.com. Watch and listen to the Shock Jock Sports Podcast on Facebook Live and YouTube.
Hello, this is Milton Baker inviting you to listen to NASCAR Racing right here on WCSL 1590 AM, 92.3 FM, and KTCBroadcasting.com.
Watch the Shock Jock Sports Podcast by KTC Broadcasting live on Facebook and listen on Apple, iTunes, and Spotify.
Shock Jock Sports Podcast by KTC Broadcasting, live Mondays and Wednesdays, 2 p.m. Listen on Spotify, Apple iTunes, replays on YouTube, KTC Sports, KTCBroadcasting.com. Try that. Check. Hey, there we go. Hey, everybody. Now we're ready and rocking. Good afternoon, everybody. KTC Shock Jocks live and in charge. Zac Mayhue's in the house. I'm Kevin Hastings. Judah's here playing some video games in here. I've got my mask on, Zac. I'm ready
Ultimate Warrior.
Does this mask work?
Yeah, Ultimate Warrior, I guess.
Oh, this mask does work? I can wear this in public?
Yeah. Works for me. The rest of them don't work either. So.
Oh, okay. So the rest so this one's okay then.
Mm-hmm.
Darth Vader mask is okay. One Warrior Nation right here, Zac.
That's right.
One Warrior Nation. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Kevin Hastings. Zac Mayhue's here. And we got a little bit to talk about today, not too much. Be kind of a short show. Hunter's out of town. Tom couldn't make it in today, so it's just me and Zac. He missed some stuff on Monday. We're pretty much going to go over all of that. So we'll get into that in a little bit. I'll get my Warrior mask off. I had a hat, and I don't know where it went, so hair looking like awfulness. All right, Zac. We've got Major League Baseball 60-game schedule that may or may not play. They canceled minor league baseball yesterday. We've got NBA coming back to the bubble. Their team's already complaining about how much money they're going to quote-unquote lose. They'll have some they're allowed to be able to put whatever they want basically on the back of their jerseys, it seems like. Today's Bobby Bonilla Day, Zac. Happy Bobby Bonilla Day.
He's got that figured out. I like that.
We do this every year. Why don't they just give him a lump sum and get it over with? Wouldn't that just make...
He might not take it. I don't know if they could.
That's a good question.
Because it would be a higher amount of money he's receiving and taxed more, probably. Wouldn't you think?
Maybe. It's $1.2 million basically today, every July 1st through 2035.
That's awesome.
So he's still got 15 years of $15 more million.
He took a gamble. I mean, he did. I mean, he might not even have lived to 2035. So
that's true too.
I mean, you know, he could be very smart, but if he only lived 3 years after his contract, then he didn't. You know, so.
Well, how about baseball? With the no, you don't have a salary cap, so you can just pay anybody and everybody whatever you want, like
for however long you want to pay.
I'll tell you what, we're gonna pay you $100 million, but we're not gonna pay you for another 10 years. We'll pay you'll play for free now, but you'll get your money in 10 years. Would you do something like that?
Yeah.
Wonder why there haven't been any baseball players have done any other contracts like that.
I'm surprised they haven't done more. And he's not in the Hall of Fame.
No.
And
Well, think about it, if you're
funny. They're on the docket to pay him $2,035. He wasn't even a Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm. Just think about it. Wouldn't you? Let's say you sign a $40 million deal, 10 years. I would almost could and would live off $1 million a year, and then give me the rest at the end of the contract.
That way, I'm set for the rest of my life.
I don't do nothing stupid with the money.
I mean, you think about the statistics in some of the pro sports. I think it's 80% of the people in pro sports when they come out. I think definitely NFL. They're bankrupt by the time they get out.
That's nuts.
It's crazy.
Well, the average. You got to think the average contract in the NFL too is not that much.
Yeah.
And the average career is 3 years. Mm-hmm. So, we talk about. I'm not going to bring up anyone's name or anything or say a certain name, but let me put it this way. Luke Kuechly is considered one of the best linebackers in a while of his generation.
He's definitely after Ray Lewis.
He made
the next
$50 million a year. I mean, in his career. Chase Daniels has been a backup in the NFL. He makes $10 million a year. Now, when you compare the work and effort that you have to put in to doing what you're doing now, that takes infinitely more talent to throw a football than it does to tackle someone. But for the effort and plays that he put in, Chase Daniels getting paid $10 million a year to play quarterback is to me a better job than what Kuechly had to do when she hit someone every single
you don't have to worry about getting a concussion because he ain't going to get to play.
Think about it.
Chase Daniels ain't going in.
$50 million in his career, Kuechly did, and he got a ton of concussions, and he crying on the field and bleeding out of his face, and they still not taking him out of the game. And Chase Daniels over on the sideline making twice as much as Kuechly over here, and he ain't even doing nothing but holding the clipboard.
And he'll probably get out of the football, and he'll probably be an offensive coordinator somewhere.
Right,
because
then
he
make
sat
another
there the
$3
whole
million
time and learned how to do every bit of that. So,
yeah. So, when you say, my point on the quarterback thing is don't quit playing quarterback until you're forced to. Don't choose to quit playing quarterback. And the money is just ridiculous. Lamar Jackson proved that, Zach. I mean, you look at how many people said that he shouldn't be a quarterback.
Yeah. Mostly everybody except for the Ravens in the draft.
And he wins the MVP and you look at that and you see Cam completing 57%. Why would a player switch positions until he can't anymore? The fact of the matter is Tebow completed 47%. So anything better than him, and he beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in a playoff game.
On a pass.
Which Roger Staubach had a lot of trouble doing.
Yeah.
He's 2-2, I think, against the Steelers. And so what I'm saying is that sometimes the quarterback, if you got a great defense, you can get there and win games. But don't switch positions. Like if Tebow switched positions, he would have never made anywhere close to as much money as he did as a quarterback as the tight end or H-back or whatever. So, again, what I mean is, let's say you switch positions and you barely make the NFL. And you play 5 years at minimum, $3 million a year, whatever. You made $15 million playing linebacker. Well, Chase Daniels made that 1 year almost, not playing linebacker. So, to me, the money and best thing is to stay the quarterback. Think about it, Zach. You got an NFL team. You got 53 players on the roster. How many people on that roster can accurately and good enough throw a football? 2? Mm-hmm. 3. So how valuable is that skill when you have 30 players on your team that play defense and they can tackle somebody? So tackling someone isn't that valuable of a skill as what makes people like Kuechly or Ray Lewis different on defense. Defense is about will to me. Will, effort, education. If you know what the other folks are doing, you have the will to stop it, and you still got to have the skill. But I don't know. It seems a lot of money on the table for these guys. Thinking about switching positions and moving over. Just stay with. If you can throw the football, kids, stay with it. You can always switch positions when that's over with.
Even if you can't throw the football, you can go to the Patriots and get signed.
Well, Zach, you're a Panthers fan, so let's start there. Andre was poo-pooing the move the other day, so if that makes you feel good about it.
I don't think it's a bad move. I'll say that. I mean, what's the risk in it? There's zero. They paid him. Paid him the minimum and upwards of $7.5 million in incentives. So they have no risk at all in it if he comes in and
Cam Newton could win Super Bowl and MVP this year. He get paid less than Chase Daniels.
Yep. And then next year, it's open season for him. But right now, if he plays that, if he's the Patriots are in the driver's seat on that one, you know. And if he is Randy Moss style, like, you know, Randy just wasn't doing well when he came from the Raiders to Patriots, and he exploded. And if it's something similar to that, then that'll be good for Cam. If not, then he's done. If he doesn't do that good this year, nobody signed him, I don't
think. He, you know, signing for the minimum, for like you said, nobody else. Would he have signed for that price with another team? One, probably not. But two, you know, Cam, like you said, if he does well, he'll get paid.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't, his career could be over. The thing about this is that how many big-time names and free agents have went to New England?
Yeah, I thought about that yesterday. Ochocinco was one of the big ones.
None of them have worked out. Almost every big name they signed.
It's a different system.
Well,
I'm not talking about the play calling. I'm talking about the structure,
the unselfishness, the Patriot way. You know, Randy had all the success he did, but you know what he didn't do? He didn't win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So Randy's the biggest one and biggest name, and it didn't deliver a Super Bowl. And their main cogs in their last few Super Bowls, Gronk and Brady, are down in Tampa. So if you close your eyes and say, all right, moving from Jarrett Stidham to Cam Newton might be a good move, but is it a forward or backward move or sideways move from Brady to Cam? And we don't know, maybe just because of health. You know, what do you think as far as because usually that's how you usually look at your team. You're like, well, last year we had this quarterback, so we had Brady, and we won 10 games. Well, how many can this team win with Cam Newton?
Everybody keeps saying 9-7, and they're in. The only one that's going to be a contender is the Bills.
Yeah,
with them. So, I would say the Bills and the Patriots.
I don't know. Andre picked the Jets to make the playoffs yesterday.
I just don't see that. I just don't see it. I don't even. I mean, if they win that division, yes, because you get automatic for winning your division. But record-wise, in the AFC, I don't see that. That's a tough division.
All right, so let's talk fit and not fit with Cam and the Patriots. So, fit-wise, Belichick, off his teams, whether anyone wants to admit or not, except the 15-1 team that didn't win the Super Bowl, most of his teams are defensive teams. It's defensive-led. It's defensive. This is why we won the ball game. You know, they beat the Rams this past time, and it was 13-6 or something like that, like the lowest scoring game ever. So to me, it's a defensive thing, and Belichick will relish getting to run a ball control offense.
Yes, he will.
Because Brady was running a ball control passing offense.
This is going to have to be set up totally different.
So Cam's going to be able to run the same thing, but they can't, and I don't think they will, you know, rely on him to run. What's funny or weird to me, Zach, what I've always wondered in Carolina is when you go into film study, how many times was Cam pointed out as having a bad day? How many times did the coaches say, Cam, this is a bad pass. Cam, this is a bad decision. Cam, don't do this. Don't do that. That's coming in New England.
Oh, it's coming.
That's one of the complaints that Brady would have and Gronk would have. They would have a great day They would win. But on Mondays during film session, everybody got ripped.
Oh yeah, it's all
Everybody got not. Hey guys, you need to do better.
Clean it up.
You suck. So, and that was one of the things that they always talked about, is that it was kind of demoralizing playing with them, is that, you know, that it was a workman's attitude where every single thing needed to be fixed immediately. So what I mean by that, how will Cam react to that, being called out in front of all the other grown men in that locker room, and Belichick saying this pass sucked?
Yeah, and it's you know,
because he's going to do it.
Even in a workplace environment, there's a couple of different management styles, and you got one that is the encourager. It says, hey man, you messed it up, let's clean that up. You know, you'll get it next time. Where it kind of encourages you. Then you got the person that's like Belichick we're talking about, and it's like you can have a great day. You probably the whole day of work's awesome. You might have messed up a few things, and that's what they're going to focus on. That's what they're going to say. They're not going to see the big picture. And you got people like that. Some people do not do well under that kind of management or leadership.
So Rivera is more like, I would say, as long as it's working, it's okay. And Belichick is more as perfectionist. Let's do it like I said because we know this works.
Right.
At what point does Cam say, this dude's won 6 Super Bowls, I need to listen or do what he says? Or does Cam do that?
And I think about Rivera. You know, one thing, he was a player before, so he understands both sides. Belichick might not. And then the interesting thing about Rivera is he came out yesterday or the day before. Did you see his comment that I think he did well? I think he'll do well. I wouldn't have had a problem taking him. We just had Dwayne Haskins here, and we just kind of went the other way. I thought that was really odd now that he's saying that. Why didn't he say that in the very beginning? I think he went the high road on that.
I don't think – you haven't heard Ron Rivera say, I don't know anything bad about any player, whether it's opposing team or anybody else. He gets fired up sometimes. He gets mad. He's gotten mad at the media a couple of times and the fans a couple of times, but I don't know if I've ever seen him, you know, really get into a player like that. And that's what my question was, Zach. Do you think that Cam ever got called out in the Panthers film studies and film rooms, like the way he's going? I'll go ahead and say this. He never got called out the way he's about to get called out. I'm worried he ever got called out at all. I'm worried he's never been critiqued at all in that sense because, again, when he was voted the MVP, one of the things I said about it was that's the worst thing that could have happened to him because he still needed improvement in his game.
Yeah.
MVP does not mean you're at the best you'll ever be, and if you think that, that's when you falter, and that's what I thought. Cam had 2 ways to go about that MVP. So if you win that MVP and barely lose the Super Bowl, Zach, and the only really weakness in your game is completion percentage and accuracy, wouldn't you work on that? And it never got fixed. And the people said the last few games he was doing well with North Term in the 60% range, and he was. But then again, when you tell someone you're the MVP, you're the best player in the game, and then I come to you and say you need to change your game, how are you going to react to that? Yeah. People aren't going to – it don't matter who it is. I'm not just saying Cam in general, just anybody. Who are you going to tell you need to change your game?
Because it's working.
But, and you're voted, and you're voted the MVP.
It'd be like you know, even us, you know, at the grocery store. If I'm doing and I'm making, you know, mid-level to upper-level numbers, and then somebody says, you know what, here's how they would have to approach that. And I'm using it in the grocery business. They would have to come to me and say, you're running great numbers all the time. Like your numbers are better than average, but you have hit your ceiling. And until you get through that ceiling, you got to change your approach. Does that make sense? So you go to Cam and say, "Look, you have better than average numbers. You're 15, you know, top up from that, and you just had the MVP. But you've hit your ceiling with that style, so you're gonna have to."
I always thought I always thought Cam had the ability to be the greatest football player that we've ever had because of the way he's built. Same thing with LeBron.
He had the body,
both of them,
the style.
There's a will to win, a will to change your game to a point to where you win. So what I mean by that is early Jordan, first 7 years, dunking on everybody, scoring on everybody. You know, y'all can't stop me. Let's go. That's Cam early years to me. Jordan didn't start winning championships till what? He started doing the post play, the fadeaways, the jumpers, the mid range. You can't, you know, wherever I'm out on the court, you can't guard me. to me, that's where Cam needs. That's Cam's completion percentage thing. If you can up that completion percentage to 65, 67, then you're going to be almost unstoppable to guard. Mm-hmm. And that's where Jordan was, to where, if he drives to the what did they do? When he drove to the basket, they just fouled him. We're going to make you shoot the free throws instead of dunk on you. And then to me, the Cams and the LeBron never got the aggressive offensive gene that Jordan had, to where he's going to take over the game. And to me, Cam never sit there and said, "Yes, I'm good, but I could be great," and he never went to that spot to me.
You know, you look at Roethlisberger with his size. I mean, because Cam's as big or bigger than Roethlisberger.
Pretty much exact same size.
But he's got a better body. Cam's got a better body.
Oh, yeah.
Cam is more athletic, and he has more upside. He would have been a better Ben Roethlisberger than I think everybody's going to throw Ben Roethlisberger in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah. He's won 2 Super Bowls.
So you're going to, I think he would have been a bigger, better Ben Roethlisberger. That's my take on it, because Ben could run a little bit. Ben was hard to tackle. Nobody wanted to tackle Ben, and nobody wanted to tackle Cam. So, and then you talking about, was he willing to, was he critiqued?
It says Cam 6'5", 245, Ben 6'5", 241. Same size.
Yeah. And you think
one's fatter and one's ripped.
You think he's always been able to, and most of the athletes are, always been able to win on pure talent. Mm-hmm. Any level he was at, he could win on pure talent.
Right. And that's the running thing to me, is that as far as in the NFL goes, what you just said is 100% right. In high school, you've seen the players around here. Darren Roseburg's bigger than everybody out there.
Destroys them.
Justin Foster's bigger than everybody out there. They get to college, they're the same size or smaller, and everybody
then
on their line.
Techniques.
On their line, yeah. And I got this sheet here perfectly kind of describes, we'll talk about just a little bit, about how hard it is to make it in the NFL, to the NFL, just to appear in a game, no matter what success you have in high school, or how good you are in high school, or how big or strong you are. Even in high school, you get to the college ranks, and you got to beat those guys out. Then the NFL, so it's so tough. And so with Cam's, all right, another thing with Cam, Zach, that he's going to have to change. What about the interviews? How New England does interviews? They don't answer questions. Their players will not answer most questions that are asked from the media. How will that be? How will Cam do that? And then B, will the media not scrutinize it when he is trying not to answer questions and they have a bad game, and he's going to be pissy, and then he's not supposed to be answering questions because of the Patriots, so it's going to look bad when they lose. Is what I'm saying.
If he comes out and he wins a starting job, that's your first if. Mm-hmm. And if he gets on the field, they if they're smart, they're going to put a team around him to coach him for questions that's going to come up and stuff, like how to answer stuff, and try to help him transition from to the next level of what if he's going to make it to the next level of what he's going to be. Because if he does well there,
well, do you think this? Think about Belichick. He's not going to let Cam I don't know about let. I don't know how the words are, folks. In training camp practices and stuff, in the fan fest that fans are allowed to go to, Cam would throw a pass and then go start the wave and go talk to fans while the other two guys are throwing their passes. That's not. I don't see that happen in New England. Do you see him? That's not. Do you see Cam starting the wave during practice between reps? And
I don't think he's going to have.
That's what Ron Rivera let him do that.
I don't think he's going to have that freedom because he's not.
So how happy is Cam going to be without having? To me, the matchup on the field or the works pretty good, I think, because of the way Belichick coaches. But the off the field, the flamboyancy, the look at me, is that the Patriot way? Is starting the wave, the quarterback starting the wave on Belichick's list of quarterback skills, is the only reason Belichick signed him, because he did get him at minimum wage. And because obviously if he wanted him, he would have went and got him earlier for something.
And
he'd give up a 6th-round pick or something. Kyle Allen got a 5th.
it come up yesterday that they chose him over Colin Kaepernick.
Mm.
And the only reason they chose him over Colin Kaepernick is because Kaepernick's been out of the league for so long. So
Yes.
and if Kaepernick wouldn't have been out for a shorter time, I bet they went with Kaepernick.
You know, as far as both of them are concerned, Kaepernick's been out of the league so long.
It's probably 4 years now.
He wasn't that great when he was there. So, you know, every year it's went, I've thought that it's not going to happen. He's got an overall losing record, Zach.
Yeah.
Like,
That first year they had a really bad team, and then he got Jim Harbaugh, and I think they exploded. Went to the NFC. Might have went to the Super Bowl. They did. They played against his brother.
You know who he got beat by in the
John
Super Bowl?
Harbaugh.
Yeah, Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
Who everybody, for the last 5 years, everybody who's got on TV has said Joe Flacco is not elite, not good, and Joe Flacco's won 10 playoff games. Everybody says Aaron Rodgers is the greatest, or could be one of the greatest. Joe Flacco's won. Aaron Rodgers won 10 playoff games. They've won the same number of playoff games. Joe Flacco won it since Aaron Rodgers.
And he's won more Super Bowls, I believe.
They both won one.
I thought they won 2.
The Trent Dilfer won the first one. Flacco only got 1. So Flacco and Aaron Rodgers. Flacco has beat Brady twice, Roethlisberger twice. I know Roethlisberger once, Manning twice, Eli Manning. No, he didn't beat Eli. Sorry, not Eli. Colin Kaepernick. Flacco is 10th all time in playoff wins.
Yeah, he's got a
great winning record.
He does.
And what my point of it is that it is amazing to me the perception that the national media and with the way politics is, it's creeped over into sports where you're starting to realize and want to see it more. Because in politics, you'd watch a channel and know, well, this is this side of view, this is this side of view. In sports, it was never supposed to be a side of view. It was supposed to be neutral. And you get into these things like with Trout and the Kaepernick thing, or not necessarily Kaepernick, the quarterbacks. You can watch TV and they'll say, Eli no good, Flacco no good. But why is nobody signed Kaepernick? Huh? So the guys that beat that guy are no good, but the guys that but that guy needs to come back. Kaepernick's got a losing record. You talk about he actually started out, Zach, 5-2, 12-4, went to the Super Bowl. Then the next year is 8-8. Mm-hmm. The next year 2-6, and the next year 1-10. So his last 19 games, he was 3-16. How many quarterbacks in the NFL? No matter what their name is, if Eli Manning went 3-16, how quick would the hook have been on that? He was going 7-9 and winning 8 games every year, and people were wanting him to cut.
Super Bowl.
And a Super Bowl. And Joe Flacco. So, like, even if we talk about, it's been 4 years since Kaepernick even played. It's been 7 since he's been in the Super Bowl. 7 years.
Because we talk about how long it's been since Cam won the MVP.
Mm-hmm.
That's 5.
Right.
So, everybody remembers, that Cam year. And like I said, I'm, one of the biggest Panther fans around here, and I was a fresh air to get Bridgewater here.
Mm-hmm. Well, what about the fact of the matter, the fact that Cam, Zach, crap, what was I was trying to pull something up on him.
And I've got a buddy that just is still beside himself that Cam's not a Panther, and he's really beside himself after the Patriots signed him.
Well, I don't know what.
And I'm like, we're getting Teddy. I like Teddy Bridgewater. I think
you're getting a better passer.
Yeah, and
step one, you're getting a better passer,
and he's going to have the same skill set.
So right. So are you? So to ask a Panthers fan, like, one, would you? If I could tell you, just close your eyes, not say names or anything else, and I'm going to give you a quarterback who's a better passer than your current quarterback, but he's not going to run like it is. But you've got a running back. You just drafted 6th, 4th, 5th, whatever it is overall. Do you need the quarterback to run for 1,000 yards?
No, because then you're going to lose. He's going to get hurt, and then you tell me that quarterback set under Drew Brees and Sean Payton. Really? Mm-hmm. I'll take him in a heartbeat. He seems like a smart kid. I mean, he done really well in Minnesota. I'll take him in a heartbeat.
Well, so we said it's been 7 years since Kaepernick played in the league. I mean, went to the Super Bowl. 7 years since Kaepernick went to the Super Bowl. Andrew Luck, Zach, only played 6 years.
I know, that's surprising.
So, folks, think about what we're saying. Kaepernick hasn't won a playoff game and been to the Super Bowl in 7 years. Cam hasn't won a playoff game since the year he made the Super Bowl, Zach.
15.
So he hasn't even. Not only has he not won a. People say, well, he won the MVP in 2015, but nobody ever brings up, well, the last 5 years he hasn't won a single playoff game. So what's the excuse for that one?
And his playoff record, his overall record has been horrible.
He's got a losing playoff record. Cam's 3-4 in the playoffs.
And you know what?
But he's got to win it in the regular season.
I attribute some of that to Ron Rivera too, and everybody is having a fit because Ron got out of here, and Ron's a likable guy.
Right. Well, Zach, here's my thing on the playoffs. You always play good teams in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's think about this. If I'm the Dallas Cowboys or the Redskins and I play the Panthers once a year, you hit your elbow. Zach's little boys in the house today. What was the last thing I just said?
If you was playing, Dallas, playing the Panthers.
So if you're the Cowboys, you're playing the Panthers, right? You play them once a year. Especially if you're an AFC team and playing the Panthers once a year and once every 4 years. So if I'm coming to play you guys, when you play a football team, what do you want the quarterback to do when he goes back to pass? You want to force him to dump it to the running back, right? You don't want him to throw it deep. You want him dicing up your defense. You want him to either. Of course, you want sack incomplete, but the thing you'll take more than anything is the swing pass to the running back. Do that all day. Or, what's your other thing? Scramble. Now, the scramble drill is hard on defenses, but if you scramble the whole time, how many scrambling quarterbacks have won the Super Bowl? I mean, we don't have any really. Mm-mm. Russell Wilson got one.
Maybe Steve Young.
Doug Williams, but in Steve Young's, he set the record for touchdown passes.
Yeah, no, it wasn't like that was his main goal.
Right. So Steve Young could run.
He could
back in the day, but he didn't. And that to me is the difference on Teddy and Cam for you guys is that, listen, running's good. Running's nice. It's almost a luxury. And the bad thing about it is it being a luxury, no team has ever designed their offense around the quarterback running in the NFL. We're going to do this. We're going to run first, not second. I mean, not, you know what I mean? Like, this is what we're going to do. So, once you get to the playoffs, you're playing good defenses. So, they are designed to make you check it down to the wide receiver, make the quarterback run it. Most of our DVs can probably cover if we got a good defense. So, they're putting pressure on the quarterback to do things that they normally don't and can't do. So, these running quarterbacks, whether it's the Kaepernicks, the Wilsons, whoever, they can get in the playoffs. What do they all have in common? Great defenses. Every single one of them had a great defense to go with them because they have to run the ball, run the clock, and when you get to the playoffs, these defenses are really, really good. How many teams in the NFL, Zach, or just if ever, are you going to run down their throats for points? When's the last time you saw a team just put 35 or 40 on the board just running the ball?
Yeah, and if you are going to run the football, you're going to have a really good defense on your other side to stop what they got. And when the Panthers come up against Denver, they come up against it was a perfect storm because they had the Cam neutralizer. Von Miller was the neutralizer.
And DeMarcus Ware.
Yeah,
you had two defensive ends.
He was stuck. And then they had an overall great defense. And then you think about this. You remember when the Ravens had Trent Dilfer, as you mentioned, he was just managing the team. They had one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time just managing the offense. That's all Peyton was doing. He didn't have to.
Oh, you talking about the Broncos?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that year that they run up against them, they had one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time just being Trent Dilfer, not screwing it up.
All right, I'm going to frame this in a way to see if you can answer it the way I want you to, but we'll see. Probably won't, but if Tom Brady's the GOAT, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Peyton struggled beating him time after time. And his brother's 2-0 against Peyton. His brother's got Super Bowl MVPs, 2 of them, I believe.
I know he's got 2 Super Bowls.
Peyton beat Rex Grossman and Cam Newton. And the one he beat Cam in, the defense shut the Panthers down, And Peyton didn't. It's not like he went off. He's not the reason they won that game. So Peyton is not the reason they won the game against the Panthers. He's not the reason they won the game against Rex Grossman and his sorry ass. But Eli, you could say him and the defense, respectively, were the reasons that they won. And he beat Brady twice. Which one had a better career?
Yeah, I would put Eli Manning in the Hall of Fame. No questions asked.
Yeah,
two Super Bowl wins and the longevity of starting. And I would put him in.
You win 2 Super Bowls. I mean, come on.
And I think,
but I like giving the Peyton fans heck because saying that Eli was more successful.
Peyton had a lot of trouble with Bill Belichick.
Yeah. Brady never had to go against Belichick.
No, Peyton could
against
not.
Belichick.
And Peyton was really good. Like Peyton would get out there and he called plays on the field.
Mm-hmm.
So they were playing checkmate, him and Belichick all the time. And then Peyton did not have that it gene where when the time was on the line that he would shine a lot of times. A lot of times he went the other way.
You know what drove me crazy about Peyton was he didn't throw spirals.
Oh, yes, ducks.
That drives me crazy.
Especially for the Broncos.
It used to drive me crazy. I'm just glad we're at a point where we're not talking about him being the greatest anymore.
And I don't think I mean.
I was never on the Peyton Manning bandwagon.
I think he had a super great mind.
Right.
And I think
he's outstanding at that.
I think he could read defense. I think he could put the ball where it needed to be.
Mm-hmm.
He was not the athletic type. And that's why I look at Peyton. I would take, hands down, most people would do this, but because of the gene that Tom Brady's got, that when the time is on, he's gonna deliver. That's why I would take Brady.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a Brady fan, but I wouldn't bet against him.
You just your quarterbacks that you want him to think, well, we're going to score no matter what. Well, I just need the defense to stop the other team just a few times. Just please. Again, Kaepernick hasn't played in 7 years. I mean, hasn't made the Super Bowl or won a playoff game in 7 years. Cam Newton hasn't won a playoff game in 5 years, and Andrew Luck retired after only 6 years. So Andrew Luck's whole career could be in that empty space of Colin Kaepernick and Cam Newton's playoff droughts, put it that way. You just can't count. You just can't think that everything's going to be okay. Like say, if you bring him back, Zach, looking at Kaepernick, okay? I'll bring up his best completion percentage of his career was 62% in his second year. 2012. Is he going to come in and be better than that?
And
no.
The question is there's a couple things that come up on that is the speed of the game.
Is he still fast?
Yes, that's the speed of the game. I remember the what I liked watching him is his escapability, and when he got out, he was like a deer. He kind of
he had
like
long
a deer.
legs.
He just looked like a deer run. I like to watch him play, and I like to watch Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's the total opposite of that. He's really small. He's really compact. He's really hard to see, and he's elusive. And he throws a good ball.
He's like Emmett or Barry.
Yeah, and at quarterback. And he throws a really good football
with his legs. See, Russell and Mahomes play baseball, and you see those sidearm throws in basketball. That's what that is.
And then you got your balance too.
So. Kaepernick's, I said that wrong. He made the playoffs the year after they made the playoffs at 8-8 the next year.
I think they went to the NFC Championship.
They did. They beat the Panthers and the Packers. Scoring, his team scored 23, 23, and 17, all below NFL average scoring.
Yeah,
so you needed your defense.
24 a lot of times, you're not going to win the football game.
24 is the NFL average. Throughout the history of time.
Yeah.
So
for some odd reason, I always think if you
people say there's more scoring or less scoring, it's never changed. It's always
it's
23
style.
to 25.
It's different style. You only got so much time in the game,
right?
And you're gonna have different style. Right now, it's just the air attack. It's going to come back around. There's going to be this amazing running back that shows up, a big offensive line, a great defense, and it's going to change everything. There's going to be a Shaq that shows back up in the NBA, and I can't wait.
That's the one that's gonna You're right about that. It's going to change some stuff. Okay, go pee.
Just
set
put
it-
it up
just
there
set it
and
down
take your
wherever.
headset off, okay?
All right, Zach. So let me read you the Patriots' schedule this year. Just anywhere in the
on here, you
floor.
won't
Put
hurt
it in the
us.
floor.
All
There
right.
you go.
All right.
All right. Let's see if Zach give me win losses
Yeah,
for
let's
these.
do win-loss because we did the Panthers, and I think they're going to be better than people think they are.
I think the Panthers win 6 or 7 games.
I said 7. I might have said 6.
I'm
6 or
more.
7.
I'm concerned about the defense might not be good, and you got a new coach. So
we drafted them.
That-
I loved our draft as much as
Yeah, I do.
I
I do
didn't
too.
like that coach. That's the best draft that I think we've ever. We'll see how it pans out, but that's the best draft I think we had. If you want to fix something, why don't you just focus on it?
well, in 2 years, think about it. If you got a 7-year deal in 2 years, you pick this first year you pick 7 defensive players. Okay. Well, next year if you pick 5 linemen,
You're building your team,
your team's it's not building, it's built.
and
And
they're yours.
then now you fill in the holes with the stars.
They
But,
could
yeah.
be really good in a couple years.
But teams,
'Cause the Saints are gonna be
teams
down.
make the mistakes of drafting for need and taking a
For
chance
now.
on a guy instead of saying, "Hey, we need 7 defenders that can play," and they went out and did it. And
I know we're going to do win-loss, but you think about it. I mean, the Saints are going on the downtrend. They've lost. Breeze is going to be gone, and then the Bucks are going to lose
after this
Brady.
year?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Falcons are. Ryan's getting older. Panthers are going to be sitting pretty.
All right, home New England against the Dolphins. Tua in week 1 against Cam.
I don't think Tua plays this year.
So. Who's going to win?
Patriots.
Patriots at Seahawks.
I'll say they lose that game.
Raiders at New England.
I'm going to say they lose that game. At New England, no, they're going to win it. I just don't want to lose in Foxborough. I like the Raiders this year.
Patriots in Kansas City.
Oh, that's a loss.
Home against the Broncos.
I think they win that.
Home against the 49ers. This is
Lose.
Cam Newton, remember, not Tom
Yeah,
Brady.
They're going to lose. Defense is good for. I just think their defense will be really good.
New England at Buffalo.
They're going to lose.
New England at the Jets.
Win.
New England at home versus the Ravens.
Loss.
At Houston.
Win.
Home versus the Cardinals.
Win.
3 straight road games. At Los Angeles Chargers.
Win.
At Los Angeles Rams.
Loss.
At Miami Dolphins. Week 15.
Win. Yeah. Win.
Home Buffalo.
Lose.
Home Jets.
Win. 9-7.
Yeah.
That's what I pegged them in my mind to be this year.
Yeah, the Patriots at 9-7.
And that could win the division.
I don't know that. What a disastrous division.
I mean,
of
and that's
crap.
another reason that they've been so good for so long because
Yeah.
they have beat nobody.
Yeah.
Can you name a good quarterback in that division over the last 20 years?
That's what's so bad. Think about it. Who
Who?
replaced Dan Marino? Nobody. Who replaced Jim Kelly? Nobody. Who replaced Joe Namath?
Nobody.
Pennington and Sanchez made
But fumble.
a bunch of AFC Championship games together.
If he had a better quarterback, they would have won.
Think so?
I think Rex Ryan's a good quarterback coach.
Yeah, they
I might
had
be wrong, but
Pennington and Mark
I liked Pennington.
Sanchez.
Pennington was just limited. I liked him. He just couldn't. He just wasn't. He was a great college and decent NFL quarterback.
Now, who he reminds me of? I don't know if you remember this name or not. And he didn't make it in the NFL. And I thought he would have a chance, but he didn't. Chris Keldorf,
Remember the name, but
Tar Heel quarterback in the late '90s when they went 10-1 that year, lost Florida State. He was the quarterback.
was that
year.
the one that we had Peppers?
Peppers
or was that the
after him.
'98? That was the '98 team that we was top 10
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah, we were top 10, and then we got. Remember that was the year And this is when I
You
realized
have to win the championship.
This is when I realized college football was full of crap and bullshit as a child. So forgot he got his headphones on. Florida State was still ranked ahead of Carolina at one point. I think they had a loss and Carolina didn't, or something like that. And then Carolina lost to them, and then either way, what I realized about college sports is that your name matters in football on the voting as opposed to what you actually do on the field. Nothing will ever make me more crazy or mad that you can win a game on Saturday and then Monday you vote and say you're not better than this team. Did we just not play? Did we just not have a competition? What's the point of having the actual competitions if you're not going to say who's the winner anyway? Might as well flip cards or whatever and pick the winner. So, yeah, that one drove me crazy.
That was a really good football team we had that year, too.
All right, let's see. Let's see if there's any other NFL news and notes. I think we're good. So Cam 9-7 says Zach in New England. Will he work out? What will he have to change? We'll see. All right, so let's click on a couple of baseball things real quick. Did you watch races Sunday, by the way, or this weekend, by the way?
No, I did not.
I wanted to see just in case, because of course Rob only got one of them in. I'm about to go to the bathroom in a second, Zach, so you're going to have to handle something for a minute.
Okay.
Let's see. Everything you know about Major League Baseball's 2020 start. I don't care about shrink. There's a lot of the stuff I really don't care about as far as a fan is about figuring out who's staying where and all those details. My biggest concern, Zach, with all of this, and I'll let you go on it as I go to the bathroom and see what you think, is where do we draw the line on, are we stopping the season, keeping a player from, is a player kicked out of the season if he has it? Is a whole team kicked out or quarantined for 2 weeks and you just take all losses? What are the rules and steps that each team and league, I think, are going to look at, and how are they going to handle that, the bubble and all that other stuff? Baseball, basketball, football in general, what do you think as far as – I'll say this. I wish they would draw the line before it started. You know what I mean? Like, hey, if we get 10 cases, we're done with the season. Or hey,
you talking about the every, not just one
just
team.
In general,
you're talking about MLB
in general,
total.
all the sports, all the teams, and everything. Where should teams, sports draw the line, or what should they do? Because right now we don't have any games, and we don't know who has what and what has who. So if you start the season back up, when do you say we're done?
Yeah, and you look at racing. Racing started first, but the model with racing is that they had their protocols in place, but they're not as touch and go as baseball. Baseball's gonna be a little bit less than football and basketball. Baseball might be able to get away with it a little bit more because they're not in that 5 feet vicinity from each other. NASCAR has a perfect storm for themselves where they can get in the car, they got their helmet on, their people can be separated, so they're not going to show that many cases. It could be interesting with baseball and basketball, so we'll see what happens. That's what I was telling people out there that we started with NASCAR, and NASCAR's got a good setup because the driver's in the car,
right?
He's by himself. They can keep separated. I think baseball will have a better chance at it than football and basketball because they're not rubbing up against each other for the most part. You see, they're separated. It's going to come in interesting when they get together. And if you have an outbreak in one team, they're going to shut it down.
Whole team or the whole league?
I think if one team gets an outbreak, then the rest of the team's like, I don't want no part of that, and they're not going to want to play.
That's how I think the players are going to feel.
That's what I do.
I don't know. Honestly, 100%, I don't think we're playing any sports this year.
It ain't looking good.
I don't think we're playing anything.
I'm just glad we got NASCAR.
Besides that and golf.
But they can keep separating golf,
too.
The
separated sports, the tennis, the golf, all of that, Zach, is to me, the pros can get back to it and do what they do. The problem is is if you're attendance based. So so it goes from top down. So that's why minor league baseball is canceled. These major sports can survive on the TV deals.
Yeah.
The minor league baseball, the low racing leagues, and things like that will have trouble. The Gaston Grizzlies season has been canceled, so the independent leagues are canceled because these guys rely on attendance. I don't think PGA can probably survive paying their players and not having attendance. And in fact, PGA, you've got 18 holes, Zach. You could almost do some type of system where only a certain number of fans, you can only go to the back nine or the front nine or something like that. You could do that. There's different ways they could probably do that in golf and add fans. But you're 100% right. And one thing I want to point out as far as high school goes, how are you going to tell the kids, we're going back to school, okay? But you guys have to be 5 feet apart or 6 feet, whatever the hell the magical distance is. We're going to rotate. Some of the proposals have been rotating days. So as a parent of a child, and if you miss a day of school and the school loses their mind, you missed a day of school, oh my God, your child is dumb now. Now they're going to sit there and tell you, it's okay, we'll go every other day. We'll go every other day and online. Talking out both sides of our mouth on a lot of this. But
that's just like the logic if you go to a restaurant, okay? You have to put your mask on to go in the restaurant to sit down.
Yes.
Once you sit down, you can take said mask off and you
Right.
can sit there for 3 hours. Then
Right.
you put said mask on and go pee.
right. So I guess they don't want you walking by people.
It don't
Is that
work.
the- is that the-
I guess the virus knows when it works and when it doesn't work.
Well, and then the other one was when Cooper made his decree, and we're in North Carolina, about 5 o'clock on Friday. So at 4:45, I'm good, but at 5 o'clock, the virus starts back up.
It's like the
like
crazy.
it knows-
And that's the same thing with the school. It's
That damn
crazy
virus can
logic.
tell time.
And like we've talked about, me and Mandy talked about homeschooling him because
You don't know.
he's 7. Your son's 8. Belle's what, 6?
This should be her first year of kindergarten.
And is that not going to be a traumatizing experience? If that's kindergarten's hard to go into in the first place. And
Yeah.
if they're separating everybody, and don't touch this person, and we recommend you wear a mask. They're not going to make the little kids wear them, but they're going to recommend them. Now he likes his mask. So I'm okay, but he thinks he's Batman or whatever.
I'm sure.
That might be something that thinking in my head just now. You might have to do something with these masks if you can put them on kids to make them something that they want to wear, like PJ mask or something. But so it's going to be a traumatizing experience for him anyway. And we talked about even keeping him home.
It's hard to when you get disinformation from all types of places, or it's not even disinformation. It's facts. You tell us one day that I need a mask to protect myself, but then the next day it's only protect others, and the next day nobody needs them. The next day everybody needs them, and then if I have a mask, why do I need to be 6 feet apart? If I got 6 feet apart, why do I need a mask? Which one works? Which one doesn't? It's all just ridiculously contradiction. And then so you got these kids, Zach. You're going to tell them to come back to school, skip every day, but on Friday nights you can tackle each other. Someone, just anybody. I love football. I love sports.
High school
But
football is my favorite time of the year.
But that don't make any sense whatsoever. You can't tell me that we're not allowed to touch each other at all in school. And then but I can tackle you on Friday night? Explain that. Someone explain that at all. What they need to be preparing for, honestly, is playing flag football or nothing in the fall. And this is my proposal to Rob on Monday, is in the fall, why don't they play the tennises, the golfs, these single-person sports where you don't touch anybody and you don't just put all the single-player sports in the fall. And then if you don't play on the golf team, you're not letting the golf team down. It's an individual thing. But I mean, I was on a golf team, but I never thought we were a team. We're not teammates. Nobody's making my putts for me.
Right.
So same thing with the cross country, track. A lot of this stuff could be done without the contact sports being pushed to push basketball and football are the main ones. Okay, push them to the spring because we got to choose one of two things. It seems to me. And see if you agree. We're either going to play with the virus out there or we're not going to. because once you start mixing we are not, we're going to do by situation, then all things are confusing and up in the air. So either treat it like mono, where if you get it, you're done for a week or two or whatever it is. But not the whole league, not the whole system. So you either do it that way, or you say, if one person gets it, we're all done. And then that's what I mean by when high schools, they've got decisions to be made on this, because how do you make high school kids under 18 or whatever go out there and play football? When I'm going to show you this list right here, and the odds of you making it are 0.
Yeah, and then you're going to have the parents. That's the second option. The parents is going to be, I don't want you to play, or I do want you to play.
Parents might not want you. If you're honestly, if you're second string, if you're on a team, let's say you're on a team that's not that good, you're a starter, but let's say people forget there's 11 players on each side of the ball. If I'm the 8th best defender on my team and we're going to win 2 games, is it worth me playing football?
No.
I wouldn't have played at best for my senior year under this situation. I would have played basketball and baseball, but I wouldn't have played football because it wouldn't have been worth it to me. The hard work, dedication, effort putting into it to not win any games, to be the 8th person out there, then I might get sick. A lot of those kids, I don't think, are gonna want to play. The 1A schools might have some problems, and the 2As, some of them might have them as well. One other thing, Zach, that I'm already seeing on the internet and everybody talking about is if North Carolina doesn't have sports and South Carolina does, these kids are transferring. Have you thought about that at all? So they're
you are, let's just say
they're your senior.
Let's just say if your Spikes are Bullard, I'm like, dude, this is going to cost me college, spots, and I'm going.
They're getting calls from South Carolina schools.
If you're this, and there's some college coaches in South Carolina,
or any
North Carolina. No, I'm sorry.
Right.
There is old North Carolina coaches
well, you don't have to
in South Carolina.
You don't have to be a pro to go play down there. The thing about it is that it can be a stepping stone to college and getting into and going places. So that's another. If you're a senior, yeah, I 100% see going to South Carolina to play, especially if you're on one of these county line schools across the edge. Listen, Zach, I'm seeing all kinds of complaints from Crest and Shelby folks.
Oh, I'm sure
already. Kings Mountain's right on the line as well. Cleveland County, but the thing about this, folks, and I want to remind everybody, if we don't play and the kids go to South Carolina, that's good for the kids. Please don't complain and bitch because you can't watch high school football this year. I know you want to. I want to. I want to broadcast the games. But if the kids transfer, please do not be mad at the kids for doing what's best for them. I'm going to go through this list of NFL players who used to play in local high schools, Zach, and we talk about giving back to the schools. I don't know if any of these people have ever given back to the schools.
I would have to look it up. I don't know. I know a lot of these
They
names.
could have. They may have. But I sure as hell don't know any of these schools, any of these players, none of their football fields or gyms are named after any of these people. None of them have given millions back or anything. They may have not made any millions. But the thing is, you sit there and a long time, and folks will go, it's the first. So, Zach, kids will transfer to this school or this school for this or that. Whatever reasons you are transferring to a school, it shouldn't be because it's going to get you pro, looking at the sheet. If you want to win a state championship, maybe. If you want more playing time, maybe that's your goal. If you want to be on a winning team as opposed to a losing team, different reasons for kids transferring. But to go pro, it's not. I don't see it as advantageous at all. All right, we got 18 schools in our area, Zach. 12 of them have had someone go pro. South Point, only one person in the history of the school.
He's one of my favorite NC State players. He was a really good wide receiver.
Corin Robinson was a running back, actually, at South Point. Went to NC State, converted to wide receiver, played in the NFL from 2001 to 2008.
I believe he's actually part of that Rams team. He might have played on that Rams team. Maybe later. He might have played a little bit later on that Rams.
East Rutherford hasn't had a NFL player since 1973, the only player they've ever had. Ashbrook hasn't had a player since 1996. It's been 24 years since Ashbrook had a player show up in the NFL. Sean Boyd played 1 year in 1996. Defensive back was a former Tar Heel. Their only other player, Franklin Tate. All right, I tell you, crap, Zach, I'd love to pull this on the board for people to watch, but dang it. Wonder what I'd have to do. Go down the hall, find it. It'd take me probably 7-8 minutes. If you read over through them, I'll just get help. Tell you what, let's see if I can find that quick while you kind of go through them. Don't read the Cleveland counties, or don't read this top part of Cleveland County. Just talk about Ashbrook, Huss, Lincoln, RS Central, and Rutherford. I'll be right back.
Hunter Huss, Larry Holmes from 2012 to 2014. Excuse me, not Larry Holmes, Lamar Holmes. And then 1978, running back Rufus Crawford. RS Central Hilltoppers, Jermaine Pratt, linebacker 2019. And Phil Forney, linebacker 1987. So they got the linebacker core going at RS Central. Ashbrook, I think Kevin mentioned 1996 with Sean Boyd, and then 1975 with Franklin Tate. I think he told me to leave off the Cleveland County for now. Lincoln Wolves, C.J. Wilson. I personally remember watching him, one of my favorite high school players to watch. He was a quarterback for the Lincoln Wolves, and he wound up being a cornerback. Actually went to NC State, I believe, and then he was a cornerback in the NFL. Really enjoyed watching him. Dennis Bird, defensive end, 1968. And then let's see who I have left out. I think that's everybody. We're going to do the Cleveland County in a minute. I think we'll do the Bessemer City Yellow Jackets shortly after that. So we've had some people that made the NFL from this area, and I've enjoyed watching a lot of people. There's a lot of people I thought that could make the NFL from some of our local football teams. There's a couple on here personally for Cleveland County I really liked to watch. I actually worked as a teenager at the same grocery store as Scotty Montgomery. Great guy and outstanding athlete. Really enjoyed him as a person and as a football player. So we'll talk about him shortly, and we'll get on to the Crest team, and we'll also get Kings Mountain. One of my all-time favorite local football players went pro is going to be on that team. So we'll talk about that. Kevin's coming back right now.
All right, what's up?
I was talking to him about the other ones. I was saying when we get to the Cleveland County, I was telling him I had some personal favorites on those. One of the guys on the Burns Bulldogs I actually worked with. He's a great person as a person, and he was excellent.
Okay.
That would be Scotty Montgomery from the Burns.
Okay. You did work. So
I worked with him at Harris Teeter.
In Cherryville?
Yep. And he was an outstanding worker. Me and him enjoyed working together.
So how about okay, so
we were the same age basically.
So for Scotty, interesting about that, Tony Scott. This is from NFL Pro Football Reference. Okay, so that's where I got the info from. The way they did it, they listed them, of course, by school. And I've got, so Burns here. So we can pull it up for our folks online the best we can. Try to get me and Zach in here. Excuse me. I didn't think about that being a vertical thing. But anyway, here it is, folks. I went and got it for you. You can see online a little bit. Move Zach up a little bit so you can see my head. Here we go. All right. So here's our list. So looking at the Burns guys, Tony Scott was listed.
I don't remember him.
Had Burns High School It says Tony Scott, Burns, Lawndale. Scotty Montgomery's listed as Scotty Montgomery, Burns, Cherryville. So they've got Scotty listed as a Cherryvillian. Hey, there's Judah. Look at him. He's on TV. Hold on, Judah. I'll get you on a big shot. Hi. Your sister was on there earlier. He said, I'll probably see that on YouTube. Kids today. Anyway. All right. So, yeah, Zach, they Scotty Montgomery's listed as Cherryville on there. Tony Scott's listed as Lawndale in the same high school. Cleveland High School.
Step on it. Step on it. Step on it.
Judah's having an issue. Judah, go over and step on that ant. I'm not going to do the rest of the show till you don't go do that. Judah. Judah, you can't do that. You couldn't do that.
We used to pick them up, put them in jars, and make them play.
I killed a squirrel yesterday.
Oh, my Lord.
I wasn't ready for that. Now, he's chewed on my deck. No, I put 2 BBs in the chamber.
Is it a woodchuck?
No, it's a squirrel. I put 2 BBs in the chamber and shot him in the neck.
Oh, wow.
He went down holding his neck like that, too. It was like cartoon.
Oh, my goodness.
It's kind of devastating.
But no, yeah, Scotty, he worked at Harris Teeter in Cherryville.
Okay. Did you get the Bessemer or anybody else yet?
I didn't say any. I will let
Did you
Bessemer
Lincoln?
in Cleveland County. I did do Lincoln.
Okay. So Lincoln, I don't know what you said about that.
I said C.J. Wilson.
They've only had 2 people in the whole county, and they both went to Lincoln High School. One in 1968, Dennis Bird, and then C.J. Wilson played in 2013-14 for the Bucks.
Told him that he's one of my favorite high school players. He's a great quarterback for them.
Do you remember why his career ended?
Yeah, he shot his hand in with fireworks or something on a fireworks thing. So, yeah.
So my question is, Zach, if you're at a 4th of July party this weekend, and there's 30 people there, and one guy there has 2 commas in his bank account.
Yeah. I'm not letting him touch
Is he
fireworks.
the one that gets to hold the fireworks?
Absolutely not. I'm like, dude.
is
this is a bad
the one on a
Because
the one on an NFL contract the one that holds the
Giants
fireworks?
guy had the same thing.
Jason
OC.
Pierre-Paul.
It wasn't OC then. It was Jason Pierre-Paul.
Pierre-Paul,
I was thinking OC.
Pierre-Paul blew his fingers off. I think CJ actually
he had
saved some
fireworks.
fingers or whatever, but Paul actually lost.
But 2 different positions, so he was out. At least
Well,
Pierre-Paul could do that.
CJ is also a defensive back.
Yeah, that's what I
he's
was
got
saying,
to
2
catch
different
the ball.
positions.
He's got to
Right.
catch passes or knock it down at least. So, that's 6 years ago. That's crazy. Time has damn flown. Zach, we're halfway through this year, believe it or not. Today's July 1st.
I think everybody would be happy when this year's over.
You think so?
Be like the Jumanji game is over.
I don't know. Amazon and Walmart's making a lot of money. Rest of us aren't. All right. So what's weird about that, Zach? So think about that. The only player since 1968 to make it in the NFL in Lincoln County is
they've had
one
some good
player,
players.
one person, and that one person blew his hand off with a firework.
And Roseboro was excellent. I don't even know what Roseboro is he?
He might get some workouts. I think he graduated this year.
Yeah,
I think he
'cause
might get
was,
some workouts.
He was a stud. Remember Roseboro?
No. So, well, Bandy's had 2 that weren't on this list, and Maiden may have next year. Holy crap! My name.
It was the quarterback, wasn't it?
Yeah, my name just went blank.
Yeah, I can't think either.
Caleb Farley. He's playing corner now.
Yeah.
At Virginia Tech, so he may end up being in the NFL. He's got NFL speed.
And then the North Lincoln boy, that's going. Didn't he get a deal?
You talk about this year? There's 2 kids from North Lincoln just signed for state. One's a defensive end, the other's a long snapper. So we'll see how that goes. Shelby just had a long snapper sign with North Carolina as well. We've had a bunch that's made practice teams and been drafted and rosters, but these are the only ones that have actually played in an NFL game. So where I'm getting at is, you got all these kids in Lincoln County, Zach, and only one has ever made it. And then, so if you're preaching to these kids and be like, you've got to make the right decisions. You've got to do good. You've got to go to school. You got to do this, and you still, the odds of you making it are slim and none. And then when you do make it there, Zach, you got to be smart enough not to blow your damn hands off with a firecracker.
Or,
that is amazing to me.
You look at this list, and who would ever think the Chase Trojans has more than Shelby and Crest?
So Chase is 0-51, I think, against Shelby. Shelby has won, I don't know how many state championships.
Outstanding.
Chase hasn't. I won a playoff game. Okay? Shelby only has 3 players from Shelby High School to ever make it in the NFL. And Zach, not one since the turn of the millennium.
Surprised me.
Not one Shelby player has made the NFL since the Y2K bug.
Surprised me.
How about this?
And then Crest is all after.
Right. So
Ain't
between
that?
Shelby and Kings Mountain haven't had a player make the NFL since the turn of the millennium. And Burns and Crest, all of their players came after the turn of the millennium. Look at that, the Crest Burns matchup. Now those guys, some of those played in the late '90s. So Tony Scott guarded Chris Coleman, and they both made the NFL.
The Burns team.
Mm-hmm.
I went to watch Scotty. I didn't follow Cherville, that good, but that team that Scotty was on.
I misspelled your name.
We went to Burns,
Mm-hmm.
and they beat Cherville 74 or 76-0. It was like 50-0 in the first half. Scotty was all over the place. He was a kick returner too.
Yeah,
really good kick returner.
Well, Cherville's beating Shelby 6-0 in '98. Did you know that?
That was one of the only good football teams we ever had too.
Well, Gary returned the opening kickoff, and then after that, it was
A stalemate.
It was no stalemate. It was 50-something to 6 after that, but it started off promising. Cherville leading Shelby.
I think I remember that.
So I do. I was sitting in the press box of that. I remember the return and everything.
Yeah, he's probably like, yes.
Oh yeah, 6-0 Shelby leads. Just think if we had Twitter back then.
Oh man.
And we got to text that out. Golly. All right. So Cleveland County, Shelby's got 3, Kings Mountain 2, Burns 2, Crest 3, Shelby, Robert Williams, Tom London 1978, and Johnny Hudson 1921.
Wow.
Cleveland High School, this was segregation. Mel Phillips in 77, Bobby Bell 74 in the NFL. Bobby Bell is a Hall of Famer from Cleveland High School, 1963 to 74 in the NFL. Kings Mountain had Kevin Max, probably
loved him.
Besides Bobby Bell, because since he's a Hall of Famer, Max probably the most famous player on this list. A lot of people knew and remember the Mack truck, Kevin Mack, at Kings Mountain. Zach, it's been 27 years since Kings Mountain has had an NFL player.
And look who was guarding for Kevin Mack. They had a 1992 Calvin Stevenson. He was on the line.
Oh,
so
damn! I didn't notice that.
Could you imagine? Hey, we're lining up. Mack running behind Stevens.
No, back that up. Those years are NFL years.
NFL years.
So they didn't play together probably.
You don't think so?
Well, look when Mack started.
Yeah, I see that.
So he probably didn't. He was probably at high school in 1980.
Yeah.
Because 85 was his first year in
college,
NFL.
So 4 years, yeah.
So Kevin Mack's probably 7 years older than Calvin Stevens.
Yeah, he was a stud. If you didn't have the Nigerian Nightmare and Christian Okoye, you would have Kevin Mack.
Yeah, that's true. You just talk about them. Well, Bessemer City, look over them one spot.
Yeah.
If I said who's had more, I sit there and argue with these guys on Friday nights and be like, and they, okay, and they'll poo-poo the 1A schools, the 2A schools here in the Bessemer cities of the world. And they'll put down Bessemer's and Chase's, Zach, but look at which one they produce the pros.
Yeah, I liked Philip Crosby. I remember that name.
Crosby was the running back. They were on the same team, Norris McClary and Philip Crosby. McClary played for the Kansas City Chiefs. Crosby with the Buffalo Bills. Crosby was on the Tennessee Vols championship team with T. Martin when he was the quarterback. But that leaves us Chase Trojan, Zach. If you'd have closed your eyes, would you have ever guessed Chase?
You line all these teams up, nobody
has the most NFL players.
Would take that. And I don't remember the Carlos Watkins guy. I don't.
He's playing now.
Recent. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he's playing now.
He was a recent high school, so I don't remember him locally. Is what I'm saying.
Oh, gotcha. I remember. I do.
Pretty nasty.
Yeah, I played against Whiteside.
Whiteside. Okay, yeah.
Kenyon Whiteside. Yes, he's nasty. Whiteside suplexed, slashed, I don't know what, body slammed one of our players. We used to sneak our fastest player in at tight end and try to run an end around with him some in our motion offense or option offense. And it was my fake was to the left. The ball went back to the right. So I handed it off the ball, and he went up under me to the right. Well, Kenyon was playing that left end, and we ran our options off the ends and not the linebackers, which is, if you know anything about it, that sucks because you're going to get smoked by the defensive end. If you run off the linebacker, you got a chance to shake him or move. If you run off the defensive end just crashes and hits whoever just standing there. So you're getting crushed by the biggest man on their defense when you run that play. So we tried to sneak it by him, and I was carrying out my fake, Zach, and I heard a smack, and then I heard the fans at Bessemer with my back was to the fans at Bessemer. I heard them go, ooh, and I turned around, and Deontay was laying there like a chalk line.
Fastest player on the team. He's done.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Coach, don't run that again.
They sat him. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. So they sat him on the bench with some smelling salt. We had a couple more plays left, so I had to run the plays before I got over there. When I got over there, Zach, he has the smelling salt just stuck in his nose. It is sticking in his nose. He can't get it. He's just trying to. Well, he was in no man's land. He didn't play again that week. But yeah, that guy right there smoked him. And what's funny about it, you just talked about don't run that play. The very next play, the call was option right.
And he was on the other side.
The same guy who just destroyed our fastest player. The coach calls for me to run the option right at him.
Yeah, but
you know what
audible out of that one.
I did. So
sorry, Coach.
So in that offense, I didn't have much audible power. I could go left and right. I was like, we're going left. No way. So Zach, I just saw this guy get body slammed. The guy's over getting smelling salt, and the coach, run it that way again. Fuck.
Yeah,
no.
I'm looking at Carlos Watkins. He's a beast. That is a big boy right there. So
yeah, I was trying to pull him up.
the Chase Trojan.
6'3", 300-pound Houston Texan. Last year in 2019, he got one start. Didn't start in 18. He started 6 games in 17. So he's been in Houston.
Yeah.
He's just not getting to start much, get much play. So he's been a part of the line last year. Mm-hmm. He had 23 tackles and 1 sack. Carlos Watkins.
The last on the list is the Chris Chargers. Everybody's above the 2000s on this. I don't remember Chris Coleman. I do remember Spikes and Bullard.
So Coleman played with Torrey Holt, I think.
Did he?
I think so. No. His NFL years were 2000, 2001. I think he was right before Torrey Holt then. Let me make sure with that I can get to Torrey's. But Coleman, Rob didn't mention him in the Mount Rushmore. So I said something to him the other day, Monday when he came in, and he was like, one, he forgot. He said, but the thing about it is, he said, Chris didn't have that big of an impact. He was trying to go with people who had an impact on the program. And he said he thought Chesley Borders was a better wide receiver.
That was really good
than Coleman.
I remember that.
Borders played, I think, in a preseason game or two. But he said he thought Borders was better than Coleman. And so that was...
There was a boy that... And I'm going to get off Chris for a second.
That's
there
fine.
was a boy that went... And you're going to have to help me with my name. I can't remember his name. He went to Tennessee, and I think he was from Burns. And he was supposed to be really, really... I thought he was going to make NFL, and he did not turn out. It was right after Scotty. So we have to look at that.
You talk about Derek Burgess?
Was that his name?
It was something like
He was a wide
Derek
receiver?
No, not wide receiver. There's a lineman.
No, this was a wide
that
receiver
went from Burns.
This is a wide receiver wound up going to Tennessee, and I thought he would do really well. Roscoe Briscoe.
Briscoe. Yeah.
Awesome
Briscoe.
football player locally. So.
Josh Briscoe. That's his name.
We had Jonathan Bullard, Brandon Spikes, and Chris Coleman. Spikes was nasty. I still remember that.
Well, so a couple other fun notes on this. So, you look over at South Point. What are they known for?
The option running
And who made the pros?
Yep.
A wide receiver. Someone that I probably caught more passes at Cherryville than Corn Robinson caught in high school.
Yeah.
Because he played
was a
running
quarterback.
back. He was a running back.
Okay, running back.
He played the running back in the option. And
We're
then
almost done.
And then how about let's real quick look over at Shelby. They haven't had any players since 2000, Zach. And like Crest has had them since 2000, and Kings Mountain has it, and Burns has. It's just weird and random when the guys make it, how they make it, what they make it for. It's just fun that almost each team has a story. And let's look at it this way, okay? RS Central's had 2 guys that each played 1 year. Ashbrook has 2 guys that each played 1 year. Lincoln had 2 guys, one played 1 played 2 years. Burns' 2 guys played 2 years. East Rutherford's 1 guy, 2 years. Bessemer's 2 guys played 3 years. Like, there's not Scotty Montgomery, Tony Scott, 3 years. There's no. It's not even that long of term.
Just Corn Robinson, really good. I thought he was good in NFL.
Corn he might have had the best of all these besides Spikes. Spikes probably had the best, and Kevin Mack. Mack played 8 years. Bobby Bell. If you're going by longevity, it's Bobby Bell, Corn Robinson, Kevin Mack, Brandon Spikes. Bullard's still in the league, so he's been there for 4 years. Watkins is still in the league, but he's not a star in the league at all. So it's really tough, Zach, to even get there. It's just crazy just looking at these, like, the fact of Lincoln County, only 2 in the whole time. One of them in 50 years, he blew a firework accident.
I think Scotty's actually a coach at East Carolina. Or
he was the head coach. He's not there anymore. I was trying to think. It seemed like there was one other little nugget I wanted to point out on how some of these teams play and their MVP. Like, Shelby's got all this offense, and it's just nothing but defenders on there. Just crazy. Huss, the guy played 3 years. Lamar Holmes, Crawford 1. It's not longevity, is it, Zach?
No,
even if you do make it.
As good as these guys were, it shows you how hard it is to make it with, you get at that level, everybody's got speed. Everybody's big.
Honestly, Shelby High School should talk to their kids all the time about this and be like, look, we haven't had a player make it since 2000. We might win the state championship. We might be the best team around. But, guys, unless you do go to school and do concentrate and do what you're supposed to do, there is no success guaranteed past anything.
No, because Shelby's probably got one of the best high school football teams in the state over the last 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it don't matter what A you are.
Mm-hmm.
They're one losing season, maybe?
I think that was it.
One losing season? And that's just ridiculous. I think it was only one game under 500. It's ridiculous.
I think that's what it was. I
think Cheryl's had one game over 500 in the last 40 years. So
Andre and I rode up to a game one time with Jeff Jones, and he was belly aching about an 8-4 team. We're like, that would have been the greatest ever at Cherryville.
Yeah, I mean, they would have the stadium named after that year.
Well, talking to Rob the other day about this point. I've always said that Cherryville, Bessemer, the smaller schools, their 1, 2, 3 players are as good as the other teams 1, 2, 3. It's just they have 11 of them, and we've got 3. You see what I mean? So,
yeah, because the year we had Ralph and Gary, who was the third? The other Johnson boys, the twins.
Josh and Jeremiah were on that team.
They were on the defense, I believe, and there's somebody else I'm missing.
I can name about the whole team.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like you were talking about we had the athletes to match up with them at the top 3.
Okay, well, Kent Bowen's a better passer than what they had, that both teams had. Ralph's probably the best wide receiver. Gary is not. If he may be the best runner. Gary went to Clemson.
Yeah,
like that's where he was supposed to go, and he didn't have success there, but he went to Clemson.
Yeah.
So you're looking at that back on that team alone, and then you say, well, why aren't we winning? Well, our defense gave up 50. Our offense can score with anybody. Those offenses could, with Kent Bowen at quarterback, and you've got Eric Davis out there, Eddie Mooney, Wes Roberts, Ralph Roberts, all those guys out there playing the wide receivers. You got both Johnsons. Josh is the tight end. Jeremiah played running back. Yeah. You've got the Bell twins, and now
They were younger.
They got well, they were in 10th grade when Ralph and Gary was
one of the
seniors.
So they were just starting.
But there's 2 DBs right there. There's 7 players right there, Zach.
They can keep up with
that
better,
I could say
you line them
their
up.
7 is fine. We're going 7-on-7 and have
Line
no
up.
problem. But guess what? There's 22 starters. Right. There's 22 starters. We have 1 or 2 Andres. They have 5.
Yeah.
So that's the deal on that, is that we've got 1 or 2 Andres or 3 or 4 Ralphs, but they've got 5 to 10. And it's the depth thing. Well, one thing I kind of proposed to Rob, and he didn't really like it too much. I think he just looked maybe the holes in it. But, we rank these teams 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A based on school size, right? School population. What do you think about ranking them instead based on football roster size? So, for example, and I mean program, not varsity, not just JV, but I mean program. So, for example, Bessemer Cherville will have 50 players in their whole program. Shelby and Crest will have 80. So you see what I mean? Like, if you have under 50 players, you're 1A. Under 60, you're 2A. Or under 70, you're 3. You see what I mean? So some type of you do it based on football population as opposed to school population.
But if we do that, does this say Shelby play with their numbers? Just to
You
stay,
can't play with your numbers.
Like you talking about, like you talking about, like we want to be in the 50 range, so we can stay in the 2A.
But you're adding in your JV and your varsity. That's what Rob was saying, was that people send people to JV. I'm like, no. The whole program. You have to list your whole program. Max Preps has got the rosters. It's not like you're going up and down. And people, Zach, if you'll say, well, will they fudge with numbers that way? Well, what are they doing with 1,200 kids in the school? You tell me they ain't fudge. When South Point moves to 2A by 3 kids or 4 kids or whatever it was, there's going something there. And it's easier to me to say, hey, you know what? We've got 10 less kids that didn't come to school this year that when nobody knows their names, as opposed to we got 70 football players.
I'm
and you could go off last year's numbers and not what comes to camp this year. You go off last year's numbers. So last year we came in, we registered 100 players. So this year next year that's the league we'll be in.
The one thing I am sold on is the charter schools are unfair to, like the Chervilles.
Or to the 1As. And so for example, they can, you can go to whatever charter school you want.
Yeah. And then you can just have a super solid team, Thomas Jefferson or some of them Lake Norman charter teams, and then Cherville has to go down there and just get slaughtered.
Well, they can recruit anywhere you want. So basically the whole state could go to a charter school if they wanted to. But just for posterity's sake, let's compare Winston-Salem Prep against Cherville. They're both 1A. They both play each other in the playoffs. Winston-Salem Prep has less students than Cherville. Winston-Salem Prep has 1.5 million homes in Winston-Salem.
So they can pick and
That's
choose
just
anybody.
who can go to. That's just 1.5 million homes alone. That
Their
can.
pool's
That's
so much
just
bigger.
That's just in Winston-Salem's area. I'm not even talking about the state. You can go to them things from here. If you live in Cherville, you can go to Winston-Salem Prep if you want to drive 2 hours every day. But the thing about it is that the Cherville kids can't do that.
Yeah.
And the best kids, I think I looked up, there's 5,000 homes in Cherville. What's the difference, Zach, between 5,000 homes and 1.5 million homes?
Yeah.
It's not even close, unless what you're saying is that they have to play each other. And that's what I think, if you went to roster size, then you would have a closer approximation of what you have. Because the more football players you have, it's not you're going to be a better team, but it helps 10 times depth-wise. But also, that's what we're doing anyway by numbers, right? If you looked at the rosters across the board, the 1A school is not going to have smaller rosters than the 3 and 4As.
Oh, yeah.
So if we did it, I think by last year's total program, high school and JV, because then if you got teams that say, well, we're not going to have a JV team, it's still the same kids. It's still 70 kids, whether you have a high school team or not. Whether you have a varsity or JV. You just put them all on varsity. Because some schools won't have varsity. Especially these 1A and 2A schools won't even have a JV squad.
It's like Cherville went up against Christ King last year, and they didn't even have enough to fill out that roster almost.
The varsity, right?
Yeah.
It's not good for the 1As at all on that. All right. trying to get through this as much as I can today. Get Judah out of here.
Yeah, he's getting a little bit restless.
Oh, goodness.
We've been going since about 11:30. So.
All right. So that's our football Cam Newton talk of the day. NBA coming back, Zach. Baseball. A couple of things. Baseball. They're going to have. They're going to play in their stadiums. It says teams will not be addressing fans outside of the ballpark if they can. Geez, umpires. See, there's so many small deals. Like, what's the umpires doing? What's this person doing? The two biggest things, we'll just go for that. How about that? Because we can't say or do anything about, a year or how long it takes or games or whatever. The two biggest things are in extra innings. You see that? They're going to
I've seen everything.
I think it's called the international rule.
They're going to put somebody on second base.
Right. They're going to put a runner on second
for
base.
both teams.
I
don't have a problem with that. It's a fair, it's a level playing field.
Here's where you got an issue. Who's
going on second?
Well, no. That's whoever made the last out goes on second.
Okay.
From the previous.
Okay, I didn't see that.
That's easy.
I'm like putting Ricky Henderson out there.
Well, yeah. the problem is that if that runner scores, who does that runner go to on your scoring pitching? Yeah. If you come into the game and there's a runner on second already, another pitcher has let that runner get there. That does not count against you. But now if you're in extra innings, nobody let that runner on second.
I think they're going to lose it.
And the pitcher, are they going to give it to the pitcher that starts the inning, or are they going to give it to anybody?
I think they'll lose it. I think it'll just drop.
So now you're getting runs scored and winning games
and then who
that
gets
don't even count against the pitcher. Does that person get a run scored on their stat? You didn't get on base.
I think you have to give it to the offensive player. You can't give it to the defensive player or the pitcher.
So you can't say the pitcher gave up the run, but you can give the run to the player for scoring the run.
I don't know if I'd give it to the one that's on the base. I'd have to give it to the one that hit.
Would you give it an RBI? Would you give it an RBI?
I would. I would give the RBI.
See, it doesn't change the game one bit. What we're arguing,
no,
we're asking.
No,
we're talking about stats and scoring wise.
Stats.
Scoring. Yeah, how about just the scorekeeper? If he's sitting there writing that stuff down, somebody's got to put this in all the. This is history. It all goes down.
Error.
That's the stuff. That's weird. And then we also, Zach, how about the DH in the National League?
I'm against it, but
I am too. What?
It's all about scoring anyway. So same thing they did with football. I like defense. I like the Super Bowl with the Patriots and Rams. My biggest
thing on it is that we make the decision. We say, people say, well, who wants to see pitchers hit? Well, we've been watching them for 100-something years.
They've been hitting ever since they were 5.
That's the first thing. Second of all, Mike Trout strikes out 23% of the time.
They weren't saying that when Babe Ruth got up and hit a home run, was they?
Or Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
Trout strikes out 23% of the time. Adam Wainwright, pitcher for the Cardinals, strikes out 28% of the time. I know Wainwright's a good hitter, but I didn't compare him to a bad hitter. I compared him to what some of you children think is one of the best hitters ever, in Mike Trout. So 5% of the time, Zach, is all he strikes out more than Trout. So let's do some math on that, okay?
Got 100 at bats.
I was about to say, to get to a 5% more extra strikeout, that's 20. You got to take, let's say, out of every 5 at bats, you get out one more time than Mike Trout does.
Yeah.
A pitcher only bats once every 4 days, and a pitcher usually doesn't bat 4 or 5 times a game. So that's probably over a 2-game stretch of at bats. So what you're saying is that I don't want to see a guy strike out 1 extra time every 2 games or 2 extra times. Like what are we arguing about? It's not that much at all.
It has nothing to do with it all has to do with the DH and then taking somebody that can't play the field anymore and dropping him into however many teams in the NL.
See, that's the way I see it. Is is the DH is a guy who can't play baseball.
He can't play the field. He might be. He might have at one time, and he can't. He cannot play the field anymore. And he hit.
The closers and the DHs are just.
Let me tell you what a DH is. It is a
aggravate
hired gun. It is it's somebody that comes in and you say, "I need you to hit me a home run." That's all you want him to do.
Well, just
move the ball. Just move it around.
And think about it. If you're a DH and you're striking out and getting out, if you go 0 for 4 in your DH, how'd you help your team do?
0.
You didn't.
Unless you pop flied it and you got to run in.
Right, or hit one backside and move the runner. But for the most part, if you're DH and you don't get on base, don't get hit, what did you do today? Because you didn't go out there and catch a fly ball. You didn't catch a ground ball. You didn't do anything to help your team. They're not baseball players to me.
They need to make a rule for the DH has to play at least one inning somewhere.
Like, it just drives me crazy. I was or never would be a DH, but the designated hitter can sit here and, like I said, he can just, and it's the same thing with the closer or pitcher. So we'll sit there and only thing you can do is pitch for 2-3 outs a game. The only thing you can do is hit. But I can go out here and play shortstop for 9 innings, 7 innings, catch all these ground balls, make all these plays, go 1 for 4, 2 for 4 at the plate, and you're going to sit there and tell me the DH guy,
you don't get no
I'll
recognition.
get no recognition. How many shortstops get in the Hall of Fame, Zach?
Not many. It's amazing, even with Ozzie.
I mean, almost on every baseball team, the shortstop is the best player on the team, and they never get recognition. They never get in the Hall of Fame. It's you got to be exceptional shortstop to be put in that situation, that conversation. What's funny about the WAR stuff? I did notice this. I looked it up the other day. Ozzie's got more WAR than Derek Jeter. So now think about
Somebody
that, Zach.
that did not hit the ball,
Right. You're going to tell me now we would, if I set a Yankees fan or someone else down, a Jeter fan, and we said, all right, let's talk Jeter and Ozzie.
I'd take Ozzie in. It wouldn't even be a question.
I know. But if we set them down and said, let's talk Jeter and Ozzie, which one plays better defense? Obviously, it's not even close to a fucking question. Then we say, well, which one's a better hitter? Oh, obviously Jeter is. He's got 3,000 hits. Well, Ozzie had 2,600 hits.
Yeah.
Ozzie had more stolen bases.
Ozzie just only had like 17 home runs in his career.
He didn't have any power, but he had more WAR. So, which one is it? Well, Jeter won this many championships. Oh, okay. Again, back to the Mariano Rivera thing. If Mariano Rivera was a Kansas City Royal, he wouldn't be the all-time leader in saves.
Right.
He wouldn't have whatever he wouldn't have championships. Right. So it's not like he would have been putting at championships. If Jeter was the St. Louis Cardinal, would he have lifted them to the championship? No. Not with the 10th best. Because think about it. Jeter in his time, if he was a St. Louis Cardinal, the Yankees were still spending $150 million on their players, and Jeter would have been on a $70 million roster. If he's so good, would he have lifted that team to a championship? No. So that in baseball, a lot of it does matter where you're at, whose team you're on, the publicity you get. Does Disney own your team? Does ESPN work in your district? So the baseball's got the DH, 60 games. One thing I'm concerned about, and I know it's going to happen, it probably will, and we'll have asterisks next to it, so it won't be that big of a deal. Somebody's going to hit 400, Zach.
Yeah.
This year, somebody's going to hit 400.
Yeah, I can see that.
There's always one or two guys about near the All-Star break that are at or above 400.
I ain't talking about that, but
so
it's gonna go down to the same thing as
I'll bet who
Spurs championship.
I'll bet who it won't be. I bet all my money. I know who won't
Mike Trout.
He won't be hitting 400.
They had a
Not
stat.
striking out like that.
They had a milestone stat that came out the other day. It was on Facebook, and it was like, Pujols is so many away from 650, something like that, to get close.
Okay, he's 4 away from Willie Mays.
Yeah, that was the one,
and he's 30 away from A-Rod. So this is Robin Albert's chase on history, because he's going to lose 15 home runs this year, maybe even 20. Yep. And the RBI thing, he's got more of a chance to be the all-time RBI king than home run king, I think. So he's missing a lot of that, man.
But they was putting this out there, and then they tacked on Trout at the bottom of it. It says he's only like 10 home runs away from 300. I'm like, no, did you just have to tag Trout on the end of somebody
for no reason?
650.
For no reason whatsoever.
How many years has Trout played? 10?
9.
So what's his average on home runs?
280, so about 30 some a year, 33 a year.
We we had people doing that when we were kids. That was like a drop in a hat.
Well,
I remember a Baltimore Oriole, and I can't remember his name, but I can see his face, and he was hitting 30 a year.
you talk about Brady Anderson when he was roided up. Yeah, he admitted to the roids.
He's knocking 30 out every year.
I'm trying to find I had a response for one the other day. Crap, it was about that too, Zach. Let me find it. I did see that one about the Larry Allen. He's talking about crap. I do want to find this tweet. I'm gonna pull it up. The great radio and everything, but whatever. There was something that I tweeted out about the stats. It was about Mike Trout too. It was hold on, I'll find it. It's not gonna be that long. I read you the Aubrey Huff and Trevor Bauer thing, huh? About he's calling Pookie and talking about the war and all that.
You actually sent it to me, I believe.
Yeah. All right, here it is, Zach. So they talked King Griffey Jr. the other day.
In here?
No. That ESPN had a thing on him, a little quick documentary thing.
Quick documentary on probably one of the best.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is King Griffey Jr. not the best baseball player that you and me have ever seen?
Yes.
Okay.
My all-time favorite player.
Let's say he's the best. Let's say he's the best outfit. If I was going to rank the best overall players I've ever seen, I would have Griffey and A-Rod would be my top two. Then I'd have the Bonds thing is very difficult. Before Bonds hit the 73, I don't think anyone. Do you know anyone who have took Bonds over Griffey?
No, I wouldn't take him over now.
Well, and that's my point. If you say you're going to take him now, you're saying that, well, I'm taking steroids Bonds.
And you're not taking the fielder, the outfielder.
Okay,
I mean, God,
right.
They ain't even in the same league.
All right, so Mike Trout has 0 Gold Gloves, right? King Griffey Jr. has 10 straight. 10.
People forget how good he was.
10 straight Gold Gloves. He played center field, right, Zach?
Mm-hmm.
Now the folks today will say, well, center field's hard to win Gold Gloves.
Well, there you go.
10 straight? Shit.
Hard to win Gold Gloves, but if you're that good and you show out, then you win 'em.
Most seasons of 40 home runs by a center fielder. Do you know the list? Most home runs, 40 home runs seasons by a center fielder.
I would think Andrew Jones, Kirby Puckett.
Neither one of them's on there. King Griffey Jr. 7 seasons of 40 homers or more. Willie Mays 6, Duke Snyder 5, Mickey Mantle 4.
See, that is like Mount Rushmore people.
So you know how many Mike Trout had?
None.
None. I mean, he's got 2. Sorry, I'm just playing. So one of the responses on this, Zach, somebody actually responded to that stat, the MLB putting the stat out that about the one I just read to you, 7 40 homer seasons. Someone responded, "That's okay. Trout's going to blow by that."
He's been in the league 9 years. He is almost to his. He's about to be on the downside of his career.
He is on it. He is. Okay. The average. I went through the list of the all-time RBI guys. Out of the top 10. I would say 7 of them played exactly 22 years. Pujols is at 19. 22 is the number. It's either 21, 22, 23. That's the number everybody played. There's only like 2 that played 23. There was 7 of them that played exactly 22 years. So Trout, after 9 seasons, if he does everything he did again,
doubles.
How many people do that?
None.
If he doubles it, he's at 560. Still 70 home runs behind King Griffey Jr.
Yeah. And Griffey had some major injuries.
And you know how many Gold Gloves he's behind him? 10.
Can we even have the conversation? Just put the stats up there and don't put a name on it. Just say, which one is this?
When I put these, what's bad about it is when I put these stats out, Zach, and we talk about them, I'm not even saying like.
That's why everybody goes to war.
I'm not even saying it's like 2-1. It's not like, King Griffey had 2, Trout has 1 Gold Glove. You can make an argument they're maybe the same player. But when I say 10-0. When I say 40 homers to 2, those aren't the same ballparks. And like I said, this one guy's like, well, Trout's going to blow by that. So I did the math on it for him. Dumb shit. I said, you're right. Mike Trout is on pace to break this record in his 36th season. If you've had 2 after 9 years, Zach, what makes you think you're going to get to 8? Even if he gets to 8, that's quadrupling it, which is what I did, the math. In 36 years, he's only in front of him by 1.
How old is Trout? 32?
I don't know if he's 30 yet. I don't know.
Really?
He might be
9
29.
years?
He started young. He started like 19.
So
he's like
he was one of
28
the
or something.
phenoms
He's
that
young.
came out.
Yeah.
But still, I
He
mean,
did.
after you hit 32, you go down.
He's
The
28 this year.
The perfect example is Howard Bell. Hang on, the guy for the Cardinals that we just been talking about. He's the perfect example. He left the Cardinals and he went off the map.
All right, so Pujols' biggest problem was his last 2 years, and it's plantar fasciitis. I don't know if you know what that is.
Oh yeah, I had it. It's horrible.
Do you think you could be one of the all-time great baseball players with plantar fasciitis?
I couldn't walk.
So think about that. Albert Pujols was going to the baseball
I was on
field
crutches
every day playing with that.
Yeah. I went to work and I left. I went on crutches. It was that bad.
I've had it before too, problems with it, and he's had it since it happened. And that they told him, it said it'll never get better until you sit out a whole year. And Albert Pujols is not sitting out a whole year. This is the longest he's had to sit out is this year.
I had it for about a year and I didn't use it and it never acted up again. So they were probably correct.
That's what they told him is you have to sit out a whole year and rest it.
Because I was playing street hoops on at different places and I wouldn't quit playing basketball. I quit playing basketball and I quit.
So King Griffey Jr., Zach, in just 10 seasons alone, had 10 straight Gold Gloves and 7 40-homer seasons. In 9 years, Trout has 0 Gold Gloves and 2 40-homer seasons, and is on pace to break Griffey's record in 36 years.
I would take Mike Trout over Andrew Jones.
Probably not.
I wouldn't.
No. I mean, what reason would you have?
I mean, Andrew Jones is a better defender, and he can hit just as good.
Yeah, I mean,
he's going to strike out or hit a home run.
About the same thing, but better defender.
Come on.
I don't remember exactly
who's the other guy that came to the Cardinals right after Pujols? First baseman.
Was it Matt Carpenter?
Was it Carpenter that came?
Chris Duncan was there.
It was Carpenter. He comes from the A's. Who was come from the A's? It was really
we got
good.
Scott Rowland at third. A's was Mark Mulder, a pitcher.
No, I'm talking about it was a hitter. Y'all signed him.
Holiday?
Right? Holiday. I was thinking Holiday. He's outfielder. He was outfielder.
He started in Colorado, went to Oakland for like a year or something.
Yeah, he was outfielder. And
he was awful.
Yeah.
Outfielding. He cost us the World Series.
Yeah.
He dropped a fly ball, a pop-up.
Hey, at least it didn't bounce off his head to give another team a home run.
Shit. I mean, that's true, too. He didn't do that in the World Series, though.
He didn't bounce off his head, dude.
We're almost done, Judah.
Got 10 minutes. 10 minutes. We're done.
So, Zach, Andrew Jones had... Andrew...
On the 10, it's going to go to the 12. We're done.
Andrew had 434 home runs. Andrew Jones did.
Yeah. I knew he had some, and he was a great defender.
So,
how many Gold Gloves?
10. Shit.
There you go.
I mean,
you wouldn't even take, for all you guys.
The same people would tell me that Trout's a better defender than Pujols. Think about it.
I'm talking about the black one, son.
Albert's got 2 Gold Gloves at first base, meaning he can catch ground balls thrown to him, and pop-ups. Trout has 0 Gold Gloves in the outfield where all you do is catch pop-ups. But he's a better defender. And then Andrew Jones.
10. I didn't know that.
Now he only batted .254.
That's what I said. He's either going to home run or he was going to strike out. But
he had 4 seasons of 20 stolen bases. Andrew Jones had. I mean, if you want to look at it overall, let's look at a couple of things. Trout's best batting average is .326. Andrew Jones only hit .300 once. It was .303. Still better than Trout's this year. The most egregious thing is going down and looking at McGuire and Griffey's MVP voting. Like, the disrespect.
Because of who they played for.
And I tried to tell Hunter and them, like, there used to be a time, and Zach will remember it, that you had to win to be voted for the MVP.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there was no – McGuire didn't get MVP in the 2 years. He had 136 home runs in back-to-back years and didn't get MVP, Zach.
And then, and then Griffey's come out and said that he made it known that he would not play for the Yankees. If he played for the Yankees, he might be revered as top 3 or 4 players all time greatest.
How about McGuire never won an MVP?
If you put,
Let me listen to this. I want to read some of the seasons he had.
He was a great batting average for a good while.
His rookie year, he batted .289, 49 homers, 118 RBIs.
And he was little.
How about we had, let's see. How about in 96 in Oakland? 312, 52 home runs, 113 RBIs, 7th MVP. 52 homers, 113 RBIs, and 312. All better than Trout's numbers this year. 7th in MVP voting. 7th. Not 2nd or 3rd. 7th.
And that's solid across the board.
All right, how about this one? The very next year, in 97, his totals, he split in St. Louis and Oakland. He could not get the stats don't count for both leagues, so he had to count his split stats that year. Combined, he had 58 homers, 123 RBIs, and batted .274, and the highest he got in the voting was 16th. 58 home runs, Zach, 16th in voting.
If we put a Yankees jersey on McGuire or Griffey, could you imagine where they'd be on the...
Griffey would be the greatest ever. They wouldn't even talk about it. He would be. If he played for the Yankees, even in his twilight years in Cincinnati, they would still say the same thing because they would probably win a championship at some point. And if you win a championship for the Yankees, that counts more than the others for some reason. How about a couple other egregious ones real quick before we get out here? In 98, the year he broke the home run record and set it at 70. He came in 2nd.
Who won it?
Sosa.
Really?
Yeah. They made the playoffs over the Cardinals. And then
I don't remember that.
So he got the MVP because they made the playoffs, not because he had better numbers.
Right. I just don't remember
That's how they used to do it. They used to do that all the time. How about the very next year, Zach? Folks, I'm going to read this out loud. 65 home runs, 147 RBI, batted .278.
How many walks? So they were walking him
133 times.
So that's count that as a hit.
Think about this: the year he hit 70, Zach, they walked him 162 times. How many games they play in a season?
That need to be factored into his batting average.
How many games they play in a season? Well, that goes in the on base percentage. So his on base percentage in 98. You ready? 470.
Yeah.
His on base percentage in 98 was 470. He got walked 162 times. That means at least once a game he's going to be on first base with a walk. And then if you throw a strike, he might hit it 500 feet.
Most of those times that he gets put on first base, there was other people on because they walked him, so he didn't knock them in.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. The Barry Bonds intentional walk numbers are the most ridiculous thing ever. How about in 96, Zach, in the American League? Listen, folks, he led the American League in home runs, on base, slugging, OPS, 7th in MVP voting. 7th in MVP voting. I went back. I'll put it together for next week, but I went back and I was looking, Zach. I was comparing. You can look at the MVP voting and then also look at their WAR and to see how many players would have won it back then as compared to now on WAR and not. And it was pretty interesting. It's about 50-50 were the numbers. About 50% of them were 1, 2, or 3 in WAR.
That won it.
And won it.
Yeah.
But there was a bunch of them, like Juan Gonzalez one time won it.
I forgot about that name. He was good.
He was like
how good he was.
He was like 14th in WAR that year.
He had like 47, 50 homers at one year.
Oh, yeah. Juan Gonzalez was.
Forgot about that.
Oh, big boy. Stud of
Texas Ranger.
Yeah. Let me put that in there. Let's see. Juan Gonzalez. And then I want to put MVPs. MLB. So Gonzalez, real quick, 89 to 2005, 3-time All-Star, 2-time MVP. was Juan Gonzalez.
Wow.
434 home runs, 295 batting average. So he's pretty much batting the same as Trout as far as batting average.
He in the Hall of Fame?
I don't think he is, and he probably should be. I think he got lumped into the steroid era.
He was good.
I think he was.
These guys are the guys that when we would play in the backyard, you'd pretend you was them. I pretended I was him a couple times. Pretty close, son.
I gotta find that exact that page because it was a great page. I can click on the stat right next to it and look at the MVPs. This might be it. Nah. Yeah, it does. Well, it kind of shows it. Don't show the highest one. Damn it. I'll find that next time, Zach. That's an interesting one to look at, is to look at and compare. So the wars in like 92 or 95 and see exactly what happened. So let's look at 90. Let's look at Juan Gonzalez's 98. He won it the year Sosa won it. The year before, the year before Sosa, McGuire, the MVPs, Larry Walker and King Griffey Jr. All right, yeah, you can look at the war here. Here we go. In Juan Gonzalez's MVP season, his WAR was 4.9. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17th in WAR.
And he won MVP.
And won MVP. Oh, my gosh. You know who was second? The number one in WAR that year was A-Rod. He ended up 9th in voting. Number 2 in WAR
was probably with Seattle still then.
Yep. Number 2 was Roger Clemens in Toronto.
Wow.
He was 11th in voting. Derek Jeter was 3rd in WAR and 3rd in voting. So that one was right on. Nomar Garcia Capera was second. And Albert Bell, and he was second overall in voting, 4th in WAR. In the National League, Kevin Brown had the number 1 WAR, 16th.
He was a pitcher, wasn't he?
Yes, the pitchers.
For the Dodgers.
Yeah, he was 16th in voting. Bonds had the number 1 as a hitter, and he was 8th in voting. John Olerud
that's good on that.
was 3rd in the I didn't even know he played in the National League for
I didn't either.
really.
Baltimore.
The Mets was
I
3rd
remember that.
at
I remember
7.6. How about McGuire that year was 4th? Slamming Sammy Sosa, 7, 8, 9th in MVP voting. Sammy Sosa had a worse year than McGuire. He was 9th in WAR.
I remember John Olerud
and he won
being that good
and he won the
that
MVP because his team won. Olerud that year had 22 home runs, 93 RBIs.
That's pretty low to get an MVP voting. So.
Vladimir Guerrero is that.
Oh, Vlad was a beast.
Tell me if these aren't Mike Trout numbers if you've ever heard them. And they're really not because his batting average is better.
Yeah.
324, 38 homers, 109 RBIs. That is Mike Trout land all over the place. Except 324 is on the high end of Trout's averages.
And Vlad wasn't considered, like
13th.
Awesome. I love it.
13th in voting. It's almost.
Almost.
All right, Zach, this weekend we're going to Indianapolis for the Brickyard 400.
This is one of my least favorite races.
The drivers were thinking, some of them were thinking about participating in the IndyCar race, but it's not going to work out time-wise. So you don't like Indy?
I don't like the track.
I don't like Pocono. I like to play it on the game because I actually win it on the game quite a bit. But watching it always the leader pulls away. I like races where at the end at least it don't have to be 10 cars like Talladega, but I want 2 cars battling for the lead.
Yep.
And then when you have a car win by more than a second,
that ain't no fun.
It's not fun for the end of the race or any of that because you already know what's going to happen. And then the Talladegas and the Daytonas, they're their own animal with the 10, 12, 15 cars in contention on the last lap. But I at least want 2 or 3 battling for the lead so you can see something coming to the finish line.
I will be watching it.
All right, so there'll be July 4th. That's Saturday in Indianapolis. I'm guessing they're racing Saturday, or are they racing on Sunday? I might have had that wrong. Let's see. I think it might be Sunday, Zach. Make sure I get that out right. July 5th. It is Sunday, so they are going to race Sunday. It says 4 o'clock. real quick before we end the show. What do you think about these start times at 3 and 4 o'clock every day when they end up with rain delays, and then some of these tracks don't have lights? When the NFL has no problem whatsoever, Zach, playing at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, I'd say back it up, run it, get it over. I don't care if they'd run it at 11.
Well, I don't think most of us would anyway. All right, getting out of here. A couple other quick fun tweets. Number of quarterbacks who've won a Super Bowl since 2011 on a rookie contract. 4. Flacco, Wilson, Wentz, Foles, and Mahomes. Number of quarterbacks who won on a top 10 salary. Only Eli and Peyton are the only quarterbacks to win on a top 10 salary in the last 10 years. Couple of other news and notes. Last time Liverpool won the title, the Dallas Cowboys had the 17th overall pick and took Emmitt Smith. This year, Liverpool won it, and they took CeeDee Lamb. Could be a pick. Crime of the day, tweet of the day. It's a federal crime for a boat carrying asses to depart a U.S. port without a certificate showing that the government has inspected the asses. And my final crime of the day, I had one more. It's a federal crime to accidentally catch a comatose sea turtle and not elevate its hindquarters to at least 6 inches for 4 to 24 hours while trying to revive it. All right, folks, that's about all. That's about all I can do with that. All right, thanks for listening, everybody, watching and listening. Zac Mayhue, Judah's in the house today. Thank everybody for paying attention, listen to us, listen to our ramblings. Saturday Sports Talk, we'll have Terry and Hunter. I think Hunter will be back, and then Tom on Saturday. We'll have some breakfast. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you Saturday. Zach, see you next week.
Right.
KTC Broadcasting, Shock Joxx, KTCBroadcast.com. Wait a minute, Zach. I got something for you. You can say bye to everybody. There you go.
Let's see if I can get in this thing.
Get your head in there.
Bye, everybody.
Say, do it. Record one run. Say, watch Braves baseball on KTC.
Watch Braves baseball on KTC.